Yo, yo, Biggie on the mic. We talking truth, no hype. Drop that knife, drop that fork. It's time to light the torch. Listen up, we're in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The city's buzzing, the streets are loud, but we're talking calm, keep it proud. We got stories of struggle, stories of hope, from the block to the globe. We'll break it down, we'll break it clear. No fear, just sincere. Biggie, we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. We talk about money, we talk about pain, the pain of the youth, the loss of the main. We talk about love, about family ties, all the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Biggie, we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. Biggie, we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine, we're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. We bring the headlines to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love, we talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Woo! Biggie, we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk.
Yeah. Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud. We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe. Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lies, just sincere. Follow Biggie, big. Hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. So let's light things up. We talk about money, we talk about pain, the pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talk about love, about family ties, all the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Follow Biggie, big. Hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine. We're turning the page, we'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world? No fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love, we talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life. Yeah.
Live. Biggie on the mic.
Hey, right.
We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Yeah. Listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud. We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe.
You're Biggie, dig it out.
Break it down,
break it clear. break it clear.
No filter, no lie, just sincere. Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything in here, what's up? It's Biggie time, so let's light things off. Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything in here, what's up? It's Biggie time, so let's light things off. We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talks about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Follow Biggie, 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 hit like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything in here, what's up? It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Follow Biggie, 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 hit like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything in here, what's up? It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. From the suburbs to the skyline, yeah. From the sunrise to the shine, we're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. Biggie on mic, with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love. We talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, Biggie, Biggie.
Let's talk, Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Yeah, listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows. Yo, the vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud. We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe. Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lie, just sincere. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talks about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Follow Biggie, 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 hit it like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine, we're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love. We talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and get a teacup. Biggie time, so let's light things up. Let's talk, Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Yeah, listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows. Yo, the vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud. We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe. Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lie, just sincere. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talks about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Follow Biggie, 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 hit it like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine, we're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love, we talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and get a teacup. Biggie time, so let's light things up. Let's talk, Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Yeah, listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows. Yo, the vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud. We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe. Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. Yeah. No filter, no lie, just sincere. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. We talk about money, we talk about pain, the pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talks about love, about family ties, all the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Follow Biggie, 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 hit it like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine, we're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love, we talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and get a teacup. Biggie time, so let's light things up. Let's talk, Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Yeah, listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows. Yo, the vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud. We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe. Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. Yeah. No filter, no lie, just sincere. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Follow Biggie, 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 hit the like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie.
Let's talk, Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
Listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud.
We got stories of struggle, From hardship to hope, from the block to the globe.
Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lie, just sincere.
Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to episode 62 of Biggie Let's Talk. And today we're talking about something that affects millions of people, especially Indians, Asians, and even the Afro-Caribbean community and the West Indian community. Diabetes, or what they say in Punjabi, sugar. Anyway, guys, so obviously there's different things, nutrition, lifestyle. So I thought rather than me just read it out like this, I'm going to bring on an expert. So we're going to be joined by Mr. Andy. Hold tight, Andy.
Hey,
Yes,
thanks
Andy,
for
what's
having
happening? You
me
good?
on. I must say, you have the most fire intro music I've ever heard on any show.
Thank you very much, my brother.
And yeah,
Were
thanks
you
for
popping
having me
along?
on talk about nutrition. I'm excited.
Wicked. Okay, let's get started. So tell us who you are, Andy, and tell us a bit about
I'll just
yourself.
put the intro. So name's Andy. Bains Nutrition is my company. Started 5 years ago. It's just me. I used to have someone else to help me out, but it's just me right now. And I basically just work with people, mostly one-on-one, to work with anything that has to do with diet. Could be diabetes, could be cardiovascular disease, any like weight-related goals, sports nutrition, gut health, whatever it may be. I'm kind of the guy for that. Right now, I'm in Surrey, BC, Canada. So it's 12 p.m. here. I know it's 8 p.m. where you are. So a lot of the community here is actually like Indo-Canadian. So a lot of Sikh, a lot of Punjabi population here. So it's not the niche I asked for, but it's the niche I got, and it's one I'm very happy to be working with.
So you're not like a fitness instructor in the gym, are you?
No, I thought about going that avenue because it's good to find clients. But
Yeah.
I am strictly on diet, put it that way.
Nutrition.
Diet and healthy lifestyle. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you about was diabetes. Tell us a bit what diabetes is.
Yeah, sure. I actually was looking for some stats on diabetes and Sikh and Punjabi population. I came across a little study, and I think it's good to just use this to kind of frame the conversation, especially if people are listening and they don't know about the significance of diabetes or sugar in their Punjabi population. So study is actually about interviewing 13 Punjabi Sikh participants ages 18 to 30. It's actually the study was actually done by Taranjit Sidhu in the UK. So it's UK population. So a little more relative to you as well. But the study's title is Diabetes Doesn't Matter as Long as We're Keeping Traditions Alive. And it's a qualitative study. So I'm not going to spend too much time here because I don't want to get, it's not going to get boring. But just so we know, South Asians are more at increased risk for type 2 diabetes, both in their home country and when we immigrate or migrate over. You usually don't see that.
This goes for Africans and African Caribbeans as well, don't it?
Pardon?
This goes for the Black community as well.
I don't actually know too much about the African community regarding like their risk, but I'm sure you see a similar pattern. So usually what you see is home country rates are kind of low. They're eating their traditional diet. Once they come over to, Canada, US, UK, like a more developed country, food environment changes, all of a sudden they're at risk for diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and so on. But for South Asians, we actually get that at our home country and when we immigrate over. So it's just like a flat line straight across the board.
We know we can't win.
Both ways around. Pardon? Sorry, it's a little...
We can't win, can we?
Louder. Say it again?
We can't win. So
we can't win. Well, hopefully some of us can win. Some of us listening to this can hopefully win with what we're going to get into. And then I have a few quotes that I just want to share. So from the study, it was a qualitative study. So the interview participants, 11 out of 13 were females. To put that in context, I just got to skip to page 11. And there's not a lot of research for looking at like diabetes in the Sikh and Punjabi population. So it's kind of interesting to find the study for me. So on hospitality, so they basically found different themes when they interviewed. But one of the quotes was, I guess it's just in our culture. It's just what we do. It's how we invite people and make them feel welcomed in our house. Having a lot of food is just a form of respect. So when people come to your house, it shows that you're happy to have them there by having all this food. Indian food is very rich. It's more about flavor than health benefits. of it. So you have to serve rich food because it plays a big role. It's about reputation as well. So the better the food tastes, the more respected you are. And then there's the third one here. Sometimes, I think this one's actually quite impactful. Sometimes I want to change some ingredients, but I think the older generation would see it as being disrespectful because they're trying really hard. They're really focused on feeding the family and impressing people. So they want to be too happy if you try to change things and try to adapt recipes just because you're trying to make it a bit healthy. And then this is where the quote from the title come from. It's how we're taught we should do things, and diabetes doesn't matter as long as we're keeping traditions alive, even if that means we're unhealthy because of it. I thought that was pretty powerful because I don't know about your household, but when I've tried to make dietary changes around, there's a lot of resistance, right? We cook things
There
this
is
way, we do
100%.
things this, it has to be this way. Yeah. And then I have one more here. Oh, this was on physical activity, and specifically for like women. Participants discussing prioritizing family over physical activity as it was not the Sikh thing to do. Participant expressed that the elders in their family perceived exercise to be a waste of time and saw cooking as a priority over physical activity as preparation for marriage. And then one quote is, I try to stay healthy and go to the gym, but sometimes my mom doesn't like it when I go because she'll say, when you're married, you'll need to cook. Gym isn't going to help you with that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of these quotes resonate, with you, with the
Definitely.
population. I had a few more on like doctors and just how difficult it is for, even when you find like a Sikh doctor, they don't want to talk about difficult stuff. There's some quotes around that and just finding the information
Sure.
and finding support. So I'm hoping this.
Okay, there's two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Do you want to just get into that?
Yeah, there's actually more than two types. There's the type 1.5, there's gestational. So different ways of defining it. But the main one we're going to talk about in this podcast is type 2 or type 2 similar ones, which has to do with basically, actually, it's easier to explain it the other way. Type 1 is autoimmune. So our body makes insulin, our pancreas makes insulin. Type 1 means you lost the ability to make insulin. So you can't put the sugar into the cell, which we'll talk about, which means that you have to take exogenous insulin, basically. So that's like you measure your blood sugar, you take the insulin. Type 2 can progress there if you lose those cells, but it starts off as basically a problem of high blood sugar and your body really struggling to pack that sugar away. And then you see the blood sugar come up on the blood test, and then, we get concerned. And the first thing a lot of my clients do is, like, sweet a cup of cha. They don't put sugar in that cha anymore because they're like, oh yeah, get rid of that sugar. They'll help with the symptom management.
But they'll have a laddu instead.
Yeah. Or what I like to say is they forget that in the dud, there's also in the milk, there's also sugar.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like you didn't really get rid of it all. There's still at least like 7-8 grams still. So it's a step in the right direction. But as we'll talk about, sugar is part of the symptoms, but it's not necessarily a big part of like how the problem gets started. Okay.
Go on, tell us how the problem gets started. Is it lifestyle?
It's mostly diet. Lifestyle's part of it because exercise is a pretty big component here. So let me just, let's talk about how it gets started. So right now I'm in a room, looks like you're in a room as well. So when we eat food, actually, let me jump back a little bit. So food has carbohydrate in it, right?
Yeah.
The carbohydrate's the sugar. So that could be glucose, fructose, galactose. It could be those three sugars, and those will end up making different compounds and so on. The main one we'll talk about is glucose because that's the one that our body will deal with. Like if you eat like a piece of fruit that's fructose, the liver will turn that fructose and it'll kind of metabolize it into, it'll skip a few steps, but it'll go into a chain and it'll use it kind of like sugar. But the one our muscle uses, the energy that our body uses is glucose. The other forms just kind of get converted to that. So when I talk about like carbohydrates, it's not just like fruit or like syrup. It's like the roti, it's like the naan bread. It's even in like beans, potatoes, right? These are all very carbohydrate rich foods. So usually it depends on what you eat, but once you eat the food, let's just say we eat like an apple or something like that, or a banana, or let's just say we have some like roti or some jal or something, right? Some rice. When we eat that food, it enters our bloodstream. If you eat something very like liquidy, like a juice, your blood sugar will spike very quickly, and then it'll kind of crash. And people get concerned about that. It's not the most harmful thing. If your blood sugars crash, basically you might feel a little angry, you might feel a little hungry. You don't want to be doing that all day long, right? Eating some laddu, eating some sweets. Your sugar goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. And the reason it does that is your body's like, oh my God, I was expecting 50 loads of, I don't even know, 50 loads of laddus, but instead
Yeah.
I got like 200 here. What am I going to do with them all? So it actually makes too much insulin, which puts too much sugar away, and then your blood sugar actually gets below your baseline. So people usually get quite concerned about what their blood sugar kind of looks in like a minute basis. But when we talk about like type 2 diabetes, we're talking about what it looks like months and months out, or even through over the years. We're talking about where is it generally sort of sitting, and we'll talk about that. But let's
Yeah.
just say whatever we had some carbohydrate, had some sugar in it, enters our bloodstream. You can't leave sugar in the blood because it starts to cause damage. This is why you see for diabetes symptoms, you see like the blindness, you'll see like problems in like the toes and the feet, you see problems in the kidneys, because all those membranes are being damaged, because as you know, we get blood flow head to toe. So it'll start to cause damage. You always need a little bit of blood sugar because your brain always needs like a constant supply of it. And your cells, of course, need a constant supply of it. But when you have too much sugar, it just starts to cause a little bit too much damage, and we get problems down the line. So you can't have the sugar in the blood, so you got to put it away somewhere. So where do you put it away, right? Well, you end up putting a little bit in your liver, but most of it you actually put into your muscles. And as you know, we have a lot more muscle than liver. So that's where you end up storing quite a bit of that sugar. Now, this is where I was going with that room. So if you are like in your room right now, I'm in my office room right now. If you say this room is one cell, so most people listening to this will know our body is made up of little cells. But if you didn't know that, we have these little tiny little circular blobs. They're just little cells, and that's where we need to put the sugar to get it away from the bloodstream. So
Right.
to put the sugar in the cell, sugar always needs a little bit of help. It can't quite just do it itself. Our cells are lined with fat. So if you take like any like bayo or oil and you put it on your hand, the oil will start to seep through your skin naturally. If you take
Okay.
Gatorade, some juice, and you put it on your skin, it's not just going to enter your body, right? You can't do that. Like dissolves like in chemistry. Basically, if it's fat, it can just kind of cross through if it's a fat barrier. If it's water, it can cross through if it's a water barrier. But sugar is watery. That's why juice is watery. That's why in carbohydrate, like the name carb, and then hydrate, it holds water, right? Like
Yeah.
a gram will hold about 3-4 grams of water. So if you, for example, if you need that sugar to get in the cell, it needs a door. So like our room has a door. So what end up happening is basically your body will go, oh, we got a lot of blood sugar. The pancreas will make insulin, and insulin, when everything with insulin, just think insulin into the cell. It has to put energy to the cell. So insulin just opens the door. Insulin opens the door, sugar goes inside the cell, blood sugar comes back down, everything's fine, everything's good. Over time, that's the normal situation. Over time, you start running into a problem, and that problem is these doors kind of start getting blocked. If one door gets blocked, sugar's in the blood, body goes, oh, we gotta put the sugar away, makes insulin, it opens the back door, no problem. Back door gets blocked, window gets blocked. Over time, it can get very hard for the sugar to get in the cell. And this is what we call like insulin resistance. Your body's basically, your cells are resisting insulin. What the cell is doing is, it's not like this isn't like super, it's normal in a sense. It's a normal response. What the cell is saying is, hey, we're full right now. Go put that sugar elsewhere. Go give it to a different cell. But the problem is, if all the cells are quite full, then you can't put that sugar elsewhere. So what ends up actually blocking the doors or filling the cells is actually going to be fat. Like you're going to get fat inside the actual cell. So most people know about like the fat, especially genetically, the fat that a lot of Indian people will start holding, which is like that visceral around the stomach fat, right? Around the organs. You have the subcutaneous, which is like underneath the skin fat, which is in terms of harm, like subcutaneous is like not all that harmful, might even be protective in some cases. Visceral around the organs puts pressure on those organs, not a good thing. That's central adiposity. And then you have ectopic fat, which is basically fat inside the actual cell, inside the organ. So like you don't want fat in your liver, your pancreas, right? You don't want fatty liver. You need a little bit in your muscles because your muscles will use it for energy. But if you're not exercising, you're not burning that energy, then what your cell does, it goes, hey, we got so much energy here. We're busy. We can't accept sugar. Like we cannot take that in right now. So then sugar has nowhere to go. It gets stuck in the bloodstream. It starts doing damage, including to those red blood cells that carry the oxygen, which is why when you get a blood test done, you'll see like hemoglobin A1C. That A1C is telling you how much contact your hemoglobin, which carries the oxygen, how much contact it's had with sugar. So it's pretty interesting because the red blood cells are alive for about 90 to 120 days, then we recycle them. which is why when you get a blood test done, your doctor will be like, oh yeah, if you want to look at your sugar again, we can do it in 3 months, because then you'll have another reading for the past 3 months. It's kind of creative, because if you don't have that test, you can only find your sugar what it is right now. You don't know what it's been looking like for the past 4 months, right? So where was I going with this? So yeah, so biggest misconception everywhere for type 2 for diabetes, it's a sugar problem when sugar is causing the symptoms. It's not a sugar problem. It's a problem of having too much stored fat in the cell, too much stored lipid. And that is a problem of getting too much calories in. So in research, they call it overnutrition. I just call it an excess problem. You're getting too many calories in. Those calories are being stored. You're running out of places to store them. Some people genetically just store more in like their liver and their muscle cells. And when that happens, you develop insulin resistance. And sometimes you see this like not over 10, 20 years, just kind of overnight. I know you probably want to butt in at some point, but I'll share this point and then I'll get some thoughts on this. But so a common like phenotype, a pattern you'll see is people will be like, let's just say maybe their BMI wise, maybe they, put on some weight over the years. Usually you see that. But let's just say they're exercising, everything's kind of good. So when they're exercising, the fat in the muscles is shrinking because they're burning it. And then what will happen? See, I don't know if that was Diet Coke or not, but your blood sugar is going to go a little up. You end up using a lot of that sugar for this conversation, so it's all good. It goes straight to your brain. But when you exercise, your fat in your muscles is going to shrink, right? And then you'll eat your diet and they'll come back up and then they'll shrink. But let's just say, I don't know, you have a kid, you get busy in your 30s, all of a sudden you don't have time to exercise anymore. Now it's not going to shrink anymore, it's going to stay. And all of a sudden your doctor's like, oh, your blood sugar is a little high. Depending where you are in the world, like I think in UK and it's like in Canada where we say like 6 to about 6.4 is pre-diabetic, after that, or 6 to about 6.4, 6.7 is pre-diabetic, after that we say it's diabetes. But in the States, they'll actually say it's 5.7, like your A1C. So it's a little bit lower cutoff. And in India, I think it's 5.7 as well. 5.7 to 6.4 is your pre-diabetes, and after that, diabetes. Yeah.
So in India, it's really common, isn't it?
Pardon? It's 5.
In India, it's very common now.
Yeah, it's very common. I think it's like 91, 2016, 2018 numbers were 91 million in South Asia. I think that includes like Pakistan, includes Nepal, includes one Middle Eastern country as well.
Okay, what's a common mistake people make with diabetes?
Number one, I mean, generally speaking, is that not understanding what the actual problem is and trying to deal with the symptom, which is eating less sugar. The problem is if you eat less carbohydrate, if you replace that with protein, you're better off, right? Because you're better off symptom-wise. But if you replace that with fat, you're actually going to be worse off because you're just feeding the problem. You're just feeding the root cause of it. And then for our community and population, it's missing the importance of exercise, even just a little bit of exercise beyond just our daily walking, right? Goes a long way in preventing or delaying or just never developing the problem.
Okay. Is it possible to come off medication for your nutrition?
Oh, 1,000%.
I remember there used to be a big myth about, is it drink Karela juice is really good for you.
Okay. There's a few compounds there. There's like berberine as well, like some people take to help manage the blood sugar and make it a little bit easier. So the way you want to think about it is the pancreas has beta cells that make insulin. So after about the age of 25, you don't make any more beta cells. So if you lose those cells, like in type 1 diabetes, you lose those cells, you'll never make more again, which means you always have to take excess insulin from outside form, right? So it could be like one a day, it could be like long lasting or short acting. But the point being is, if you still have your ability to make insulin, you can reverse your way out of it. As long as you change like your diet and lifestyle, you can fully reverse you out of it. It's not a death sentence. Even if you had the problem for like 10, 15 years perhaps, you can definitely reverse your way out of it. If you're curious about it and you're wondering, if you've had diabetes for some time and you're wondering, okay, I don't know if how much insulin I'm making because I'm also taking insulin. Sometimes depending where you are, you can do a C-peptide test. That's a test your doctor or your specialist can order, and it'll actually measure a protein that your, I think, beta cells also produce, but it'll tell you if you still have beta cells. But even if you lost those beta cells, health-wise, you're much better off in a way of reversing the insulin resistance, because it's with modern tools, if you're pretty routine with it, you can keep your blood sugars well in range. but you want to make it very easy for your muscle and your liver cells to take up that sugar.
And what type of foods can people eat to reverse it?
So it would depend on your diet, because the goal is to make your diet less rich. So if you make your diet more rich, you're going to get more calories in. But I'll be a little bit more specific than that, for our audience, and make it a little more practical. So we eat food to get energy, right?
Yeah.
The energy comes from carbs, fat, and protein. It's our body's goal to always get more calories for less work. This is why we have like drive-throughs, because it's like, drive-throughs are more popular here. I know Europe
Yeah.
food settings are a little different. But we have drive-throughs because it's like, why get outside your car when the calories come to your window? Now, we have DoorDash, Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, all these food
Yeah.
delivery systems. So it's like, why get in your car when the calories come to your front door? So the brain's always trying to get more calories for less. This is why, grass doesn't taste that good. Fruit tastes better than that. Ice cream tastes better than that. Because those taste buds are saying, hey, this is very, very rich food. Eat this food, right? That's why laddu tastes so good. But the problem we end up with, and we'll connect it to a little bit about our Indian diet history. But our problem we end up with is, if you get these foods aren't, like, you could say, natural, but these foods are designed in a way for us to really overeat and enjoy, which is why we create them. But they don't give you a good deal for how many calories are coming in for how filling it is. So a lot of people know, okay, to lose weight, you got to eat less calories. It's a little bit more than that, because your digestive system is trying to fill itself up. So volume-wise, most people will eat about 3 to 5 pounds per food per day. So let's just say, you had a busy day, you had a bunch of shows, stuff was going on, and you didn't have time to eat anything, and you just start eating some like nuts and seeds. If you eat a pound of nuts and seeds, it's about 2,600 calories, but it's only 1 pound of food. So your body goes, oh, we got some fat, we got some protein, we got some carbs, but we only got a pound of food. So even though you got 2,600 calories, which could be all the calories you need for the day, your body goes a couple hours later, sometimes even half an hour later, it's like, hey, that was only a pound of food. I need something more. So
You're hungry
eating
again.
to get a little, you have to physically fill yourself up. So because of that, there's certain foods that give you a much better deal. A lot of these foods people have misconceptions about. It's a lot of like very carbohydrate rich foods. So everyone knows fruits and vegetables are perfectly healthy. The problem is, if you eat fruits and vegetables, you're going to feel hungry basically all day, because they're only about 100 to about 250 calories per pound, which means that, like, you can imagine just eating raw fruits and vegetables all day. It's not going to fill you up, right? You're just going to eat pounds and pounds and pounds of it, because it's not that rich. It's mostly just pani. It's mostly just water. This is why, like, apne say, like, roti to bina bhukh nahi mitdi. Like, there's a little bit of truth. English translation, basically, without roti, like Indian flat bread, we're hungry. It's just saying that we need something richer, or we're just going to be hungry. Roti is kind of in a middle category. It's a little bit richer than like most meats, but it's a middle category, right? It's pretty refined, but it's still much better than some of the other options, which get much, much richer very, very quickly.
See, I actually agree with that, because when I don't have roti, right, I just feel hungry.
Yeah, of course. So it's but there's foods that do a better job at it. I'll give you one.
Yeah.
White rice will do a better job than roti in terms of hitting a sweet spot. Roti tastes better because it's more rich, right? That's why we like white rice, not brown rice, because white rice is a little bit more rich. It tastes better. So the thing is, when you have, like, let's just say I like the example of pasta. So if you have dry pasta or dry noodles and you have a pound of them, a pound of flour is about 1,200 calories per pound. So a pound of roti is about 1,200 calories per pound, right?
Yeah.
It'll change a little bit if it's whole wheat or non-whole wheat, but it's basically essentially around the same. But when you cook a pound of noodles, like pasta noodles, it becomes 2 pounds of food, because the pani, the water comes in.
Okay, how important is rest and sleep?
Per pound.
How important is rest and sleep if you got diabetes?
I'll jump into that. Let me finish this train of thought.
Good.
Because it's going to give people something they can do if they want to make changes.
Sure.
So a pound of dry pasta is 1,200. You cook it with pani, it goes up, becomes 600 calories per pound. Which means that if I ask you, like, hey, what's going to fill you up more, a pound of bread or 2 pounds of pasta? It's like, well, 2 pounds of pasta, because that's a lot of freaking pasta. But rice is similar way, because rice is refined, but you add pani to it, so it makes it take up a little bit more space, which makes it a little bit more filling. So instead roti, you're actually better off having rice, because you can eat more of it, fill your stomach up, and get less calories in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's a weird way of looking at it. It's counterintuitive a little bit. But you asked me before what kind of foods are best for people, like Indian diet wise. like beans, lentils, peas, give you best deal. They have more fiber to them, a bit more protein to them. They really hit that satiety, make us feel very full and satisfied. Sabji are good too, but it does matter how you cook things, which we can talk about as well. But you mentioned like how important is rest and sleep. Rest and sleep are, I'm not going to say they're more, in some ways they're always more important if you're dealing with some sort of health concern, because your body just needs that time to deal with the inflammation and that stress it's taking on from the disease state. But when it comes to what to focus on, like if you don't focus on sleep, you're or if you're getting a poor night's sleep, you're already starting the day a step behind. It's going to be less likely you're going to be able to exercise or make some of those healthier diet changes. So you always want to start with sleep and making sure you're well rested for the fight. But after that, like you want to work on diet and start incorporating a little bit of exercise. That's how we kind of frame it in terms of order.
Okay. The other question I had was, so I got a friend who's diabetic, and he's lost sight in one of his eyes. I know you touched on it earlier on right at the start. Why is that?
So there's a few different reasons, but the easy way to think of it is that sugar in your bloodstream is kind of like sandpaper. It's causing fluid imbalance because it's drawing water. That's part of it. But it's literally glycating proteins. So it'll end up just doing that it'll end up doing that head to toe. But in our eyes, we have very, very small membranes. So as it does that, you also likely also have some lack of blood flow, just because the same diet problems that lead to type 2 diabetes will also lead to cardiovascular disease. And if you have poor blood flow to tissues don't heal. Unfortunately, like when you get tissue when your body gets damaged, like for example, when I was a kid, I had this great idea, Biggie. I was like, I'm gonna take my bike, I'm gonna go down these stairs. Like it wasn't even a full staircase, it was 2-3 steps. I fell like upside down sideways, and I got this scar. That scar is still here, like 25 whatever years later. And it's because when you start getting damaged, if your body puts calcium there, you can't get blood flow, so you can't heal the tissue anymore. So when you get scar tissue, which you likely have, like even for kidney disease, if you get scar tissue, you can't get healing there. So it just has to do with the way that the sugar in the blood is just causing fluid imbalances and membrane damages head to toe. And unfortunately, we get them in the eyes. Okay,
what fruits are good alternatives to eat?
Fruit
is full of sugar, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So fruit is full of sugar, but it's also full of water and fiber. And let me illustrate this with an example. If you have a cup of cha and then you have a banana and you look at your blood sugar, you're like, oh my God, when I had this banana, my blood sugar is like this high, right?
Yeah.
But if you just had the banana, it's actually a lot easier for your body to put away the sugar, because when we eat food, especially food that has fat and sugar, so all the favorite foods, of course, what ends up happening is the fat actually will end up getting to the cells, and it's easier for the fat to be absorbed because they can just crisscross through. The sugar needs insulin, it needs to help getting in, and it will actually set up insulin resistance. So you don't want to restrict fruit. But what I will say is, if you are dealing with really high blood sugar and your body's really struggling to put that sugar away, you want to more focus on foods that give you satiety, because fruit is not all that filling, if we're being honest. So you can enjoy it, especially when it's seasonal in summer. It's good, it'll energize you. But it's not like oh my God, you have to eat fruit. It's, hey, there's other things you can. If you want to have fruit, go for it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, there's a big myth about artificial sweeteners. Do you want to break that down for us?
So artificial sweeteners are a creative way to help deal with the symptom of getting that blood sugar in. You want to be careful with them, because usually research-wise, at least what we've seen, in 10, 15, at some point later, you'll hear like, oh, actually, this one increases your risk for heart disease. Oh, actually, this one's terrible for your gut. So you actually end up finding things as you research it more. You want to be careful, because there's a lot of money behind artificial sweeteners and a lot of industry-funded research on it. Tablespoon of sugar is 50 calories. When I'm talking to clients, working with clients, if they want to add like a little bit of sugar to their morning coffee or something like that, often I'll recommend just using the sugar instead of the artificial sweetener, just for a general gut health, avoid potential side effects type of things. Because for the sugar, yeah, it's 50 calories if you had a full tablespoon of it. Usually people aren't doing that. But if they do, you're going to burn that off pretty quickly. That's not all that significant, right? But if you're taking a daily exposure to some artificial sweetener, it can be, and sometimes it might be the reason why someone's experiencing gut issues. So it kind of varies a little bit. If someone's like, oh yeah, I put stevia in my smoothie, or I put it in this, whatever. It's like, yeah, you can just be aware that it might not be it might not be the better alternative to sugar than you think it is for your health long term.
Okay, anybody that goes to the gym, do you suggest that they do cardio or strength training?
Depends on their goals, depends on their age. I will say that, and when you say cardio, it also depends on how you're doing the cardio. Some exercise is better than no exercise. If you take someone that doesn't exercise a lot, which is unfortunately a lot of our, especially our Indian elder population, or just even like our parent level population, if you take someone, you have them exercise, it doesn't matter initially what the exercise is. They're all going to build a certain level of muscle mass just to kind of get to a baseline. So for me, like if you look at someone's health, I would say, actually, let me give a more practical one. I like the idea of some resistance, and I like the idea of at least something to get someone sweating and get their heart working. Because when you start getting your heart rate up and get it really working, you're increasing blood flow to all your tissues, which is quite beneficial. You want to be doing some sort of resistance training because your muscles, if you don't use them, you will lose them. And as you get older, you don't want to become frail, because then your risk of just falling down, breaking a hip, gets quite high. So you want to maintain a little bit of muscle mass, but at the end of the day, it's really about finding any type of exercise that people enjoy and just having them do more of that. Yeah.
Okay, so what are the signs that someone's blood sugar is getting out of control, too high?
This is part of the problem. So because our modern world is so unnatural, we don't have nerve endings in our like blood vessels, for example. So if you touch something really hot, it burns your hand, right? If you do the equivalent of burning your hand to the inside of your, like, I don't know, artery or something like that, your body doesn't give you a signal like, oh, this is bad, don't do this. So we can eat foods and do things that actually cause quite a bit of harm to our body, but we're not even picking
We're not aware of it, yeah.
Yeah, and we only become aware of it really when we see our family doctor and they're like, hey, you've actually got high blood sugar. Like, you're technically diabetic right now. Like, I need to get you metformin. I need to get you on this because we got to control this right now. Like, I've seen cases, even like extended family in India, where people have had probably diabetes for the last 10, 15 years. And that's how they ended up with like the eye issue or like the kidney issue or the feet issue. And they just weren't aware of it, right? And how would you be aware of it if it's happening so slowly? It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like boiling the frog. Like, you just turn the temperature up very, very slowly. Yeah. But the body will do its very best to manage things. And then it just reaches a point where it can't anymore. And it's just like, it's a kind of a tipping point. So you don't want to reach that tipping point is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so just a few quick fire questions. Just give me one answer.
Yeah.
Brown bread or white bread?
It's so hard to give you one answer when you ask a question like that. So you want to aim for like a bread that uses whole grains. But the problem is sometimes white bread can actually be whole grain, and sometimes brown bread can be quite refined because you can do things to add the color in. Generally speaking, brown bread, look at the ingredients, make sure they're not using heavily, look at the grams of fiber, put it that way. Aim for
okay, you kind of answered this already, but rice or chapati?
Pardon?
Rice or chapati? Rice or roti?
Rice. It has water in it. It's more filling. You can eat twice as much of it for the same calories as that chapati or roti.
Okay, the best snack for a diabetic?
Fruit, actually. I would say fruit.
So like banana, apple.
Banana, apple, oranges, mango, blueberry, so on. Ideally, you eat the fruit versus like blending it up because it's better for satiety. It'll keep you full longer.
Okay. One supplement you actually recommend?
It's for a supplement?
A supplement that you recommend?
Oh, I rarely ever recommend supplements. I do it through food for the most part. If you're iron deficient, it'll be iron. If you're deficient in anything, then it'll be that one. But sometimes like a B12, because a lot of Indians are vegetarians. And then northern climate, sometimes vitamin D. Okay,
and apart from sugar itself, what's one food that someone should avoid?
Like sugar itself, most people usually just aren't eating sugar by itself. It's usually sugar and fat together. I would say like oils is the big one, like basic oil, for example, oil, because it's 120 calories per tablespoon. We're usually heating it up, oxidizing it. And we don't realize how rich it is. Like 120 calories, like sabhi calorie chamche, like for 1 tablespoon, that's more calories than a medium boiled potato. A medium boiled potato is the most satiating food, means it fills you up the most for like the least amount of calories coming in. But the tablespoon of oil is the least satiating food. Like if you drink a chamcha of teo, it does absolutely nothing for you, basically for how much it fills you up, which means you just got 120 calories that are excess. You got extra 120 calories that give you no satiety, basically. So it's the worst deal when it comes to eating to be full and satisfied and avoiding excess calories. It's one reason why people gain weight over time. Like average adult, Western countries, 1 to 2, like they'll gain 1 to 2 pounds a year. Enter their 40s, enter their 40th year, they've gained 20 to 40 pounds. Their doctor's like, oh, you know, your cholesterol's a little bit high. Add a little bit of years to that. Your blood pressure, your blood sugar is a little bit high. Like these things have been accumulating in the background, but we often don't pick them up, right? And it's because it's not like every day, you know, like, of course, our weddings are very long. I had my own last year. Of course, our celebrations are a little excessive sometimes. We go to India. You know, my dad went to India when I was in grade 11, came back with basically a beer belly full of sweets. Yeah, I'm still working on that. Like I got it in half, but so of course, some of our culture is a little excessive with that. But you know, day to day, our diet's not all that much richer. But it's these forms of getting a little 150, 200 calories here that just adds up over time.
Okay, last question on nutrition. So, you know, you get desi ghee or desi ghee.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Diabetic wise.
Tablespoon of oil is 120 calories. Tablespoon of desi ghee is 120 calories. Butter will be a little bit less because there's some water in there. When we have oil, like olive oil, it's going to be in a bottle. It's usually dark. It's usually sealed. You don't want to leave it out exposed because it's going to react with the oxygen. It's going to go rancid. That's why there's a best before date. When you take an oil and you heat it up, you're oxidizing it. This is why fried foods are unhealthy. Everyone knows fried foods are unhealthy because you're taking very, very rich food and you've also oxidized it. When you oxidize things, you create these compounds. One of them is actually for oil, hydroxyenol, which will actually directly kill the beta cells in the pancreas. It's a reason why Indian population, because of just the use of cooking oils, you actually end up getting type 2 diabetes in the sense you have insulin resistance, but you actually killed some of your beta cells off too. So you kind of get type 1 in a way. So it's kind of like a 1.5 middle ground territory. But basically, what you're doing is you're taking the butter, you're heating it up. Saturated fat is very stable. It doesn't fall into that oxidation problem. It's solid at room temperature. But the problem is you never have one type of fat. You always have saturated, polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, and your essential fatty acids in like a whole food. So you're heating it up, you're oxidizing it, and then you're putting that into your body, and it's going to be causing damage basically wherever it makes contact.
So in a way, but desi ghee is better for you, isn't it?
No, because you're oxidizing it, and it's very high in saturated fat, which is the worst fat for the problem of getting for the muscle cell problem. And it's excess calories. It's not all that filling. So it's a big myth, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Like Indian people, say, lubrication chahiye.
Okay, and my final question to you, Andy, is did you manage to nominate anybody for me?
Sorry,
did you give me a nomination?
I think I texted you one, but for everyone to know, I think you should talk to Dr. Peter Rogers. I saw on the waiting screen that you like straight talk, facts only, and he will tell you to use straight, absolutely no filter on the guy whatsoever. I talked to him yesterday, and he got on a yelling match with his neighbor for his apartment, just straight on while we were doing a YouTube video. He just straight yelling at the person.
I'll give him a shout. You did send me his email address, so I will definitely give him a shout. But Andy, I just want to say thank you to you. You've been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. We can do this again anytime. Cover other topics.
Take care. Big love. Okay.